Hello again. We're going to be beginning week two of the criminology class. Um, Most of you have gotten right on board, and there was some excellent discussion back and forth about crime as it relates to deviance. And many of you brought up some excellent issues regarding deviance, whether it be tattoos, smoking marijuana, um, everything from you know passing gas in public to not taking a bath. As we get into the football season, and we're coming up on the Super Bowl this weekend, what are your thoughts about the football players that take a knee during the uh, national anthem? And is that a form of deviance? Certainly some of you had brought up the crime of or deviant act of burning flags and those kinds of things. And not to get into the politics of it, but some certainly have viewed that as deviance, and we're all certainly entitled to our own opinion under the First Amendment, and that's what's most important. But certainly, great discussion back and forth as it regards to deviance, crimes, the difference between the two, what deviant act should be a crime, and what crimes shouldn't be crimes anymore. So, a couple of quick housekeeping notes. A couple of students had some issues, certainly with the video and you decide questions, not being able to submit them. So thanks to Ariana, got some answers back from the Cengage people. If you're doing your video and you're answering the questions, you need to watch the entire video or extend it all the way out to the end until you're able to hit the submit button for your answers. And much like the You Decide questions one. So, as you're going through that process, much of it relies on the fact that you have to go all the way to the end of the assignment before that submit button pops up. The You Decide two questions are certainly are graded by me, and as soon as I get around to doing them, they post automatically to your grade. So keep up the good work. Great discussions. Good group of class here. Probably we're somewhere around 56 students in the class. So great. I think we're going to have a great season. As we jump into chapter 2 this week, I think it's important for us to talk a little bit about the nature and the extent of crime. We're going to do some, in your readings, we'll talk about how we're measuring crime. And certainly, one of the biggest issues that we measure crime by officially is uniform crime reports that the FBI collects all the data, certainly on the Part 1 crimes in the United States. In those Part 1 crimes you'll learn about, they're forcible rape, robbery, aggravated assault, burglary, larceny, arsonies, and motor vehicle thefts. And some of the officers that are from cities know that measuring those Part 1 crimes in our neighborhoods certainly reflect how we are policing in those neighborhoods. But how accurate are they? And whether or not do agencies kind of fluff those numbers to make it appear as though we're doing a little bit better job? And how are those clearance rates done, whether they be cleared by an arrest or by an exceptional means? And then we're going to talk a little bit about, the National Incident-Based Reporting System, or NIBRS. Those measure a lot more information within our local agencies. Many of our agencies now, our law enforcement, are going to data-driven policing and the information that surrounds the data that comes in. So, links between arrests and clearances, where the violations are happening, what time of day are they happening, where are they happening, who the victims are, who the offenders are. And then certainly, one of the other big areas that we're concerned about in collecting data is the National Crime Victimization Surveys, those people that self-report. And we know that a number of victims do not report crime to the police for a number of different reasons. And this week we'll discuss, the advantages and disadvantages of that. Certainly self-report surveys, agencies will go out and start to, collect data from self-reporting, see how many people actually report crime, so that we have an idea of the numbers, of the dark numbers, the numbers of people who don't report crime, and really kind of give us a little bit better estimate of what the crime is in our particular areas and how we measure it. And then, of course, there's certainly the study element and the experiment and research. and then how the researchers or the criminologists go out and measure data and do very, very in-depth studying of crime data and data mining, and how they start to put together crime mapping and those kinds of things for our agencies, so we can tell where the trends are and what's going on. So certainly, we're going to talk about the crime trends from the 1830s, the post-Civil War, all the way up to today, and how they've increased and decreased over time. And as we know in America now, crime has been decreasing. Serious crime has been decreasing over the number of years. So is that, why is that? What causes those decreases in crime? And international crime, we'll talk a little bit about, the international crime and what the future holds for us. We've seen some spikes and some falls in the homicide rates around the different parts of the country and in the large cities. So, some of the class discussion this week will revolve around the topics of men and women involved in crime and crime arrests, and why minorities are arrested more than not, and why men are arrested more than females, and do we see youth their arrests, and certainly in Connecticut, the age of a youthful person that can be classically arrested is gone up to 18 from 16. So we have that big group of youth between 16 and 18 that used to be measured before as an arrest, and now is being classified as a youthful referral to the juvenile court system. So, are we seeing a decrease in crime because a certain section of people are no longer being arrested and they're being referred to the juvenile court, and do we measure those? So, certainly a lot of co-offending in crimes and gender-based crimes that, like I said, we explained, or we're going to talk about. And then certainly, why there are these disparities between women not getting arrested as much as men. Is it because police officers are more lenient towards females as their male counterparts? The chivalry hypothesis and the masculinity hypothesis. Most officers feeling sorry for younger women or women, and whether or not that's certainly a factor. So as you jump into the week 2 work, certainly. If there's any issues, get back in touch with me by email. I think everybody's on the right track. Take some time again to, work along those discussion questions. Share some great information. You certainly have. Again, the discussion questions, your initial post has to be handed in on the week that it's due. And now everybody has until this Wednesday coming up of this next week to post against everybody else. So, discussion questions go on a little bit longer than the work week does for our regular coursework. But again, if anybody has any questions, certainly don't hesitate to get in touch with me. And I think what's important for us to take a look at too, this is how we measure immigration and crime, and a lot going on what kind of crime is related to the immigrants that are in our country. And I think you're going to be very amazed to see that there are significantly lower rates of incarceration and institutionalization for foreign-born citizens, or those people that are immigrants in our country. So again, as you go through this, I want everybody to keep an open mind, and certainly we're all entitled to our own opinions, and let's talk about those things, and again, why criminology in so many cases is related to politics. But again, good luck. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch with me, and we'll talk to you next week. Great.